The crystalline chamber of the Galactic Tribunal stretched endlessly upward, its walls humming with the collective voices of 10,000 species. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood in the defendant's circle, her weathered hands clasped behind her back, as she surveyed the alien faces that would decide humanity's fate. The Zephyrian prosecutor, its translucent body rippling with indignation, raised what passed for an arm. "Esteemed members of the tribunal," it began, its voice echoing through neural translators, "humanity stands accused of the gravest crime imaginable, systematic destruction of an entire star system." A murmur rippled through the assembled delegates. The Korthak representative, a beetle-like creature with mandibles that clicked disapprovingly, leaned forward. "The evidence is overwhelming. The humans detonated their own star, Kepler 442, destroying 7 worlds and rendering the system uninhabitable for millennia." Chen's jaw tightened, but she remained silent. The prosecution was painting the picture they wanted: humanity as reckless destroyers, too dangerous to remain in civilized space. "Furthermore," the Zephyrian continued, "intercepted communications reveal they called this abomination Project Prometheus. They deliberately chose to become stellar murderers rather than face honorable defeat. The tribunal's chief justice, an ancient ethereal whose form shifted like smoke, spoke with a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Ambassador Chen, how do you answer these charges?" Chen stepped forward, her boots clicking against the crystalline floor. "Honored Justice, esteemed delegates, I stand before you not to deny what happened at Kepler 442, but to provide context that changes everything." She gestured, and holographic displays materialized around the chamber. "3 months ago, our monitoring stations detected something unprecedented. The Devourers, the ancient machines that consumed the Andromedans 10,000 years ago, had returned." A collective gasp echoed through the chamber. The Devourers were legend, nightmare stories told to frighten young civilizations into cooperation. "Impossible," hissed the Korthak delegate. "The Devourers are myth." "Show them," Chen said quietly. The holographs shifted, displaying massive geometric shapes emerging from dark space. Each construct was the size of a moon, their surfaces crawling with mechanical tendrils that dismantled everything they touched at the molecular level. "Our deep space sensors detected their approach vector," Chen continued. "They weren't heading for the galactic core or the outer rim. They were coming straight for the most densely populated region of the galaxy, this sector, your worlds, your families." The chamber fell silent except for the ambient hum of translation matrices. "We had perhaps 6 months before they arrived. 6 months to prepare a defense against machines that had already consumed 3 galaxies. So yes, we detonated Kepler 442, but not out of spite or recklessness." Chen's voice grew stronger. "We turned our star into a weapon. The explosion wasn't random destruction. It was a precisely calculated stellar engineering project. We created a gamma-ray burst aimed directly at the Devourer fleet. The ethereal justice's form shifted, becoming more solid. You're claiming this was a defensive action?" "More than defensive," Chen replied. "Observe the aftermath." New holographs appeared, showing the space where the Devourer fleet had been. Instead of the mechanical horrors, there was only expanding plasma and debris. The gamma-ray burst from Kepler 442 struck the Devourer fleet 47 days ago. Every single construct was destroyed. The threat that would have consumed half. The galaxy has been eliminated. The Zephyrian prosecutor's form flickered with uncertainty. "But The cost: 7 worlds, 3 billion humans. "We're evacuated," Chen said firmly. "Every last one. We spent 2 months moving our people, our cultures, our histories. Yes, we lost our worlds, but we saved yours." She turned to address the entire assembly. This is what humanity does. When faced with an impossible choice, we find a third option. When threatened with extinction, we don't just survive. We ensure others can survive too. We sacrificed our entire star system to save civilizations we'd never even met. The Korthak delegates' mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The evacuation records, they check out. But why didn't you inform the tribunal? Chen smiled grimly. Because you would have tried to stop us. You would have formed committees, held debates, sought diplomatic solutions. And while you talked, the devourers would have arrived. Sometimes, honored delegates, justice isn't about following procedure. Sometimes it's about doing what's right, even when the cost is everything you hold dear. The chamber erupted in discussion as delegates consulted among themselves. Species that had been enemies for centuries found themselves reconsidering their opinions of the strange, violent mammals from the third planet of a yellow star. Finally, the ethereal justice raised a limb for silence. "Ambassador Chen, these revelations require careful consideration. However, there is still the matter of humanity acting unilaterally, without tribunal approval." Chen nodded. "Honored Justice, we accept full responsibility for our actions. We broke protocol. We violated sovereignty laws. We committed stellar vandalism on an unprecedented scale." She paused. "And we'd do it again in a heartbeat if it meant protecting innocent life." "That," came a new voice, "is exactly why we need them." Everyone turned as the Arcadian delegate, an ancient species known for their wisdom, stood slowly. "For 10,000 years, we've debated, negotiated, and compromised. We've built a civilization based on careful consideration and measured responses. But when true danger emerged, danger that threatened everything we've built, it was the youngest, most chaotic species among us that acted without hesitation." The Arcadian's crystalline features shifted into what might have been a smile. "Perhaps the galaxy needs more humans, not fewer." The vote, when it came, was unanimous. Not only were the charges dropped, but humanity was offered full membership in the Galactic Council, with a special mandate for crisis response and unconventional solutions. As Chen left the chamber, she allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had been put on trial for destroying a star system. Instead, they'd proven that sometimes the most human thing you could do was sacrifice everything to save everyone else. The galaxy would never quite understand humans, but they'd learned something important that day. When the universe needed someone crazy enough to weaponize a star to save civilization, there was only one species to call, and humanity would answer every single time.